What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-1. Their lead in the AFC North is monstrous right now, but I don't want to jinx anything because last week I said it was huge and well, it got a little scary until it didn't. The Pittsburgh Steelers walk away 23-9 victors over the Cleveland Browns, a game that I think put a stamp on a lot of people's nerves to say maybe they are just as good as we all hoped that they were. Maybe the offense is good enough. Maybe the defense has some superstars. Maybe the defense has a defensive player of the year on their team, not named TJ Watt. Maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers are headed some places. I did a to-go this morning on how the Steelers, they might beat everybody in the National Football League, and it might be time to have that real conversation. We'll dive into that plus a little bit more. It's a cold one here, but who cares? We're feeling good. Hope you are too. How you feeling, my friend?
Feeling good, man. Feeling like it's a little bit of sweater weather, which is great.
Yes,
you know
sir.
how much I like that. We're feeling good about that. I was able to I remember to vote in the On SI power rankings for the NFL, so I was excited
Beautiful.
to put the Steelers as high up as I possibly could.
Where'd you put them?
I put them at 3.
I put them at 3 too. Who'd they trail?
They trailed the Buffalo Bills and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Wow, dude. 2 peas in a pod. Two peas in a pod. All right. Didn't mean to interrupt you. How you feeling, my friend?
No. Feeling good. And just, I think I'm riding high like the Steelers are coming off of that win. So, things are good. It's another great week here in the Berg, and it's a short week. So I'm excited to just get right back into it. There's no time off here.
No, there's never a day off for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They now have a short week before they travel to Cincinnati on Thursday to face Joe Flacco. Mike Tomlin blatantly said, hey, Cleveland Browns, you're a bunch of idiots for trading them to the Cincinnati Bengals, which is awesome. Shout out to Mike T. They will face Joe Flacco and company coming off a loss to the Cleveland Browns, but an offense that definitely looked better. A team that still is nowhere close to being a team that is competitive, but maybe the Steelers and history against them does prevail in that one. But we'll get to that on Wednesday. Let's talk Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns here for a moment. The Steelers win 23-9. They look good on both sides of the football. Aaron Rodgers throws for over 200 yards without a wide receiver too. Oh, wait, they had one. His name was Darnell Washington that nobody saw coming. It was the greatest opening play the Pittsburgh Steelers could have possibly come up with, throwing him a deep pass wide open and just watching the big man tumble. Then on the defensive side of the football, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, but Jalen Ramsey said it himself. He will tell his children about this one because never in his wildest dreams or any of ours did we see Jalen Ramsey leading a game in sacks that featured the 2 best edge rushers of their generation playing against each other. And then Nick Herbig sat there right with him, which was great to see. We'll dive into the defense too, but I want your overall reaction on this one. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-1. Things look good. I don't know. What's your thoughts from yesterday?
This was a statement game defensively for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that not that the previous 4 games were any sort of, they've been stacking these performances to use their terms, but the fact that you were able to scheme up finding a way to get all 3 of these really talented outside linebackers on the field multiple times, all 3, if I'm reading my box score correctly, all 3 of those edge rushers played at least 45 defensive snaps. Like what a huge way to balance that out. And as you mentioned, you have Jalen Ramsey coming back earlier than expected from a hamstring injury. And not only is he a menace in the pass coverage, they just completely forgot to block him. They just completely neglected the possibility that the secondary, that the defensive backs could indeed blitz if they want to. And I think they totally took advantage of that. And to see the defense find so many different ways to impact Dylan Gabriel's day, it wasn't just, TJ Watt winning relentlessly. It wasn't just, Jalen Ramsey by himself blocking down, Jerry Jeudy or something like that. It was a total team effort on the defensive side of the ball. And it really felt like for the first time, at least from my perspective, that this team is not only legitimate, but very much in the contender picture for the first time in 2025.
I said the same thing. I did a hold to go this morning on how the Pittsburgh Steelers can walk into Buffalo and you'd believe they have a shot, that they could face Patrick Mahomes and you believe they have a shot. The Pittsburgh Steelers proved yesterday against a rookie quarterback that you have to put that out there. You have to say Dylan Gabriel is playing his second game. He threw the ball 52 yards, but you want to know who isn't playing his second game and did absolutely nothing in that game? Myles Garrett. You want to know who looks great? Is Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf without a wide receiver too. You want to know who's actually doing things? Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. This is an offense that looks great, and the defensive side of the football looks ridiculous because everybody forgot about the rookie on the Cleveland Browns that was supposed to dominate the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that was Quinshon Judkins. Even Mike Tomlin said, this guy is Nick Chubb reincarnated, and it's going to be bad. Well, it's not. Quinshon Judkins did nothing. When you have 6 sacks and a half of them come from TJ Watt, you are looking very, very impressive. I mean, the Steelers right now are a team that on paper and on the field look as good as any in the NFL. And that is a place that the Steelers have not been in a long time. Let's talk about the offense here, because I think that's where it all boils down to. You could talk about where it starts, which is the defensive side of the football, but you want to talk about where it boils down to, where the belief stands and what makes you think, yeah, maybe they could go to Buffalo and win. Maybe they could go to Kansas City and win. Maybe they could beat all of these teams. It's the fact that Aaron Rodgers can throw the football and keep a team in check throughout an entire ball game. It's the fact that DK Metcalf looks elite right now. It's the fact that you have 3 tight ends and you have no idea who's going to catch the football or if Connor Hayward's going to catch a touchdown just to say, yeah, no, we're just going to keep adding to this one. And you have no idea who's going to run the football well. But I can tell you that Kenneth Gainwell and Jaylen Warren both do it pretty phenomenally right now. Is the Steelers offense good enough to say that they might be good, like really good, and just needed time to gel in this one?
Man, that's $1 million question right there. I'm not 100% convinced that this offense overall is just that good. What I am 100% convinced about, and need no further proof to find this conclusion, is that the connection between Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf is Super Bowl worthy, is elite, is dynamic and dominating in a way that a quarterback wide receiver duo has not been in Pittsburgh since Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown. And I think they've just really simplicity is like the word that I'm coming back to a lot when it comes to the Steelers offense right now. Like, they're not doing a lot of very complicated looks. They're not doing a ton of, like, I don't know, crazy trick plays. They're not opening up, all these cans. It seems like they are very much aware of the several things that they do well, which are not flashy, which are not over the top in any sort of way. They have realized that if they give DK Metcalf volume, and if they are able to just give Aaron Rodgers above 2.5 seconds, they can make some magic happen. And I am convinced that that duo is enough to propel them further than they have been able to go in the past couple of years. Now, can the rest of that offense follow suit? And can the rest of that offense sort of round out those questions? That's where I have a little bit of doubt still. But coming off of a really strong game against the Cleveland Browns and a defense that, as bad as the Cleveland Browns are right now, their defense is probably oppositely as talented and as good. So like that was impressive in and of itself. So I think they are almost there, the offense, and convincing me that they are truly a Super Bowl worthy offense. But what doesn't need to convince me at all anymore is that this quarterback wide receiver combination of Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf is Super Bowl worthy and elite. That was just an incredible performance to watch on Sunday.
I think what stands out to me is that the Pittsburgh Steelers have an offensive coordinator that, don't get me wrong, struggled for 2 to 3 weeks early in the season, struggled most of last year, but now kind of has a grip on what's going on and what the offense can do. I think he's got faith and trust in Aaron Rodgers enough to say he could do anything I ask him to do. He really is Aaron Rodgers, which takes time to develop. But what I see and what I'm getting out of the last couple of games is that Arthur Smith can create an offense that you don't see coming. And can get a guy involved like Darnell Washington, because DK Metcalf said it yesterday in his press conference. The game plan all week was Darnell Washington to have a big day because he was going to be the one that was helping out with Myles Garrett. Okay. Well, he had a big day. Before that, it was get Johnny involved, but get Kenny G involved in Minnesota because nobody's going to stop the run game. The Pittsburgh Steelers have guys. They don't have a wide receiver too, but they have guys. And I think at any given moment, you could see somebody coming or you don't see somebody coming, but they have a big game. And that makes the Steelers offense dangerous because do I think Aaron Rodgers and DK separate everything? For sure. For sure. Do I think Denzel Ward's a good corner? Yes, definitely. And I think that you'll face tougher ones. Sauce Gardner was one of them, and DK, struggled at times to get open. But I don't think you're going to face many more corners that are above the talent level of Denzel Ward, which means that they can shut down DK more than I expect him to. And if he could do his thing and even have a little bit lesser of a game than what he had yesterday, as long as Arthur Smith's cooking and Pat Freiermuth gets involved in one game and Jonnu Smith gets involved in one game and Scotty Miller gets involved in one game, I think the offense is just fine, because you never see where it's going to come from, but everything's going to come. And that's all you need. You don't need superstars. You don't need a boatload of superstars if your offensive coordinator can make guys work. That's always been the rule of thumb. And the Steelers are kind of starting to figure that out. I think where I got the most trust yesterday was this is back-to-back games of Arthur Smith being in his bag. And that's, to me, it's not like, oh, this player played well. It's Arthur Smith looks like he's actually doing something out there. You start off the game the way that they started off the game. That was not Darnell Washington. That was Arthur Smith, And I think that leaves the door open for the Steelers offense to say, we probably aren't even done yet on where it's going to go.
So you think that there is still more like complicated offensive like schematics to come that they are waiting for the right time to unleash, because I think I'm kind of drawing the
guy. I think the next guy to have a big game we don't know yet until they go to Cincy.
I'm great. That's fine because I can certainly get on board with that because they're like, as much as we talked about, Darnell Washington, for example, and there was no way to predict that he would be targeted. What was it, like 5 or 6 times yesterday for those 50 yards? Like,
yes,
that's a big step for him. So I agree with you on that. Does that mean that someone like a Roman Wilson actually does take another tangible step in the offense?
Not.
I think that's my answer as well. But to your point, I think what Arthur Smith is finding this successful way forward is that he can just find one little adjustment here. He can just find one little target that the other team is ignoring going into this week's preparation, and then they exploit it. And then Aaron Rodgers seems to be so in his bag as well, so on top of these matchups and so quick-witted with how he's able to analyze and sort of break these things down that it seems like it's such a great like 1-2 combination where they make these sort of plans a couple of days before, but then as soon as Rodgers is on the field, like Arthur Smith completely turns that trust over to him, and it's almost like this offense just runs through him. So I can certainly see that continuing to translate into other players finding more featured roles or more prominent roles in different moments throughout the rest of the season. So I like the way you put that.
Yeah, I'm not worried about a Roman because you have a Pat Freiermuth, and a Jonnu Smith who haven't had their breakout games yet. And I think that's who's coming, I even think Darnell is a tier above what Roman is. Maybe Connor Hayward gets involved and there's Scotty Miller and Ben Skor. Like it's going to come, there's enough options to say, oh, all these guys, maybe Jalen Ramsey has, or Jalen Warren has 13 receptions in a game. It could happen. And I think that's what gets me excited. On the defensive side of the football, I got to ask you a question. I'll start off with this one because they look great. Juan Thornhill says, yeah, we might still be historic. We still might be that good. I'm going to ask you very straightforward here. Do you think Jalen Ramsey's got a shot to win Defensive Player of the Year?
I want to say yes. I want to ride high off of the win yesterday. Let me make 2 quick cases, if I might. Pat Surtain wins Defensive Player of the Year last year, right? Like, it wasn't the undisputed best season ever by a defensive back in the NFL, but it was certainly an overall all-around excellent season from that elite cornerback. Is Jalen Ramsey also having that same sort of season already? I would make that argument that he is impacting the game. 2 sacks yesterday. He has an interception. He has, I believe, a forced fumble, but at least 20 plus tackles. He's a player that has impacted every level of the game for the defense. And so I think that there is absolutely a path for him to get there if he continues doing this and the production matches. The problem is that there's several other players who are also having excellent defensive seasons. Like, you look at a guy like Nick Bonito in Denver, and it's like the guy's just like getting after the quarterback at an absurd rate so far. So it might not be that Jalen Ramsey cannot play to that Defensive Player of the Year standard or measurement. It's just that the group of players is pretty impressive around him right now.
So I'm going to make the argument that I've made against the Pittsburgh Steelers and TJ Watt for years. Okay. The only player in the NFL that in my head right now has a shot to beat Jalen Ramsey if they keep it up, if the season ends the way that it is. And he's got to do better than what he's doing, because I don't think he's doing that much. I could be wrong, and I'll look up his stats as we're talking here. But the only guy that I feel confidently will walk away with Defensive Player of the Year before Jalen does, if they both have equally as impressive seasons, is Micah Parsons. Why? Because the NFL and their award system is half talent and performance and half story. And TJ Watt is a boring ass story, my friend. Terribly boring. Nobody cares about it anymore story. Micah leaving Dallas and going to Green Bay, phenomenal story. Jalen leaving Miami to join the Steelers defense, a historic defense, and then having his best year ever under Mike Tomlin as the Pittsburgh Steelers make their way to potentially the top seed in the AFC, win the AFC North, take it back, and have a real shot in a Super Bowl. All shout out to the defense and Aaron Rodgers. That's a story. That's a story. And that's a story the NFL would love. Nick Bonito right now, you want to know what his story is? That the Denver Broncos beat the New York Jets by 2, 13-11. That's what his story is. And that just doesn't help. Would I vote the same way? Yes, I'm with you on that one. There are some great players out there, but if we were going off of who was the best defensive player last year, it was Trey Hendrickson. You know what I mean? Like, if that's if that's what we're going to say, that's what we're going to say. I will say that the Pittsburgh Steelers, without question, are a storied franchise this season. They are a storied team. And that to me gives Jalen a real shot. Like, he's got to keep it up. We're not handing anything to anybody. Micah doesn't have to do anything. He gets 11 sacks this season. He's Defensive Player of the Year. Jalen's got to do some crazy stuff, but I think Jalen could be it. Let me ask this one too. What are the chances that Nick Herbig finishes with more sacks than anybody on the team by more than 2 sacks? Or better yet, he's got 4.5 on the season. What's the chances that he surpasses like 15 to 17 sacks this year?
I think that's entirely possible. I think it was it before the Vikings game, or maybe it was as we were talking in preparation for the Cleveland Browns game. I think something we talked about was like, I think there's a possibility that Nick Herbig, just because of how explosive and overall this defense is just absurd, like, he could be the one who benefits the most. I could certainly see a situation where he finishes with, 15 sacks, 15.5 sacks, and TJ Watt has 11.5. I don't think that's crazy at all. And I think the way things are going right now, Nick Herbig is going to continue to feast, and he's going to continue to rack up those numbers, because TJ Watt continues to pull all the focus. Alex Highsmith is back and effective. Jalen Ramsey's balling out. I can only imagine that you have to leave someone, guarded single-handedly. You have to leave someone on an island, and if you're picking your poison, it's probably still Nick Herbig out of those options. So, he's probably going to continue to rack up sacks. I could see him putting up 15, no problem.
Dude, I feel the same way. What was your thoughts on her, Big Highsmith and TJ yesterday? Could you have pictured it? First off, how long did it take you before you went, oh yeah, the Steelers can't trade Alex Highsmith? There's just no chance, because that took me all 10 seconds.
Yeah, as soon as he was back on the field, I was like, yeah, no, wait, that was stupid. We shouldn't have even talked about that.
Yeah, that was a bad take. That was an awful, why would we even toss that out there? They look phenomenal. What were your thoughts on that rotation?
Loved it. I think it was hard to surmise what the actual plan is moving forward, because it was clear that they wanted to sort of like they wanted to preserve TJ Watt. They wanted to make sure Alex Highsmith wasn't being overexerted in his first game back. Nick Herbig is playing at such a high level still. Like, you want to keep giving him those snaps. It's something Terrell Austin has continued to talk about, and Mike Tomlin. But I think it was just hard to like really ascertain if this is going to be the full plan of the three of them getting such a similar number of snaps. I think the rotation is going to continue, but I do have a hard time believing still that it's going to be so evenly split. They were so successful at it against Cleveland. If they're going to have to do it again against the Cincinnati Bengals because of the short rest. But I don't know moving forward, once you have that full week of preparation, if that will continue to be the game plan. But for how it worked against the Cleveland Browns, I don't know how you can really back away from it, because you have 3 game wreckers in your outside linebacker position.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I think it depends on the team. You know, you face Flacco, you're fine. You know, I'd have all 3 of them out there all game long. I'd feel very confident about all 3 of them. Everything would be A-okay. You face a team like, it's tough. Maybe Buffalo, where you want to make sure that James Cook isn't having a day. I think it changes some things, and it makes some things a little bit more interesting. I also think that it, yesterday, from what we saw, removes the need of TJ Watt needing to move around, because where the Steelers are going right now, you can't chip TJ Watt. You can't. You got to pick a side. Are you going TJ Watt and letting Alex Highsmith get in there? Are you going TJ Watt and letting Nick Herbig get in there? Are you letting both of them get in there over TJ Watt? The Steelers' defense right now is way more than TJ Watt, and it has changed things. Derek Harmon was involved. Derek Harmon was credited for, I think, 1 sack yesterday. He was in on 3 of them. He was there right at the bottom of the pile of 3 of them. He just didn't get credit. And I think TJ took half of one, because TJ jumps on top of a pile that Derek Harmon was clearly on the bottom of, and then goes, I'm kicking the leg up. But when you have this many guys on the defensive front, I think it removes the danger of TJ Watt so much that it's going to open that up. And the Steelers weren't able to move him, but I think that they could there. I was very fascinated with the Nick Herbig thing. The last question I got for you in terms of yesterday and everything that transpired, you said at the beginning of the show that the Steelers are real contenders. You have them 3 in your power rankings. Do you think that the Steelers are so far ahead in the North right now that it's over? That the AFC North is theirs?
Oh, no, I can't. I can't say that right now. I'm sure, like, that just feels entirely too presumptuous and like setting myself up for failure if I am to put the stamp on it, put the seal on it after, a week 6 victory. It very much, they are in the driver's seat. They are in pole position, to use a Tomlinism, for this Monday afternoon. I think it's theirs to lose, obviously, and it doesn't seem like clearly the Browns are not going to really contend. I just can't count out the Baltimore Ravens with a returning Lamar Jackson, even as they fall to 1-5. I don't think they're going to knock the Steelers off their perch. I just think they're going to make it so they cannot run away with it by week 10. You feel differently. I want to hear why.
I do. I know it's early, and I think that there's a real chance that they lose to Cincinnati on Thursday. I do, because I think history tells you that the Steelers are not good in Thursday primetime games. However, what I also feel is that the Pittsburgh Steelers are better than they've been in a long time, and Aaron Rodgers is the difference maker. That's what I said going into this game. It doesn't feel as if there's a trap game with Aaron Rodgers. That's the difference. I don't care about the defensive side of the football. I don't care about Mike Tomlin. Ben Roethlisberger loved a good old trap game, brother. Loved it, dude. You set Ben Roethlisberger up against rookie Dak Prescott in Dallas. And Ben's going, that's a loss. I already know it. That's a loss. That's a loss. He's a Hall of Famer. Greatest Steelers quarterback of all time. Can't take anything away from him. I don't feel as if there's trap games for Aaron Rodgers. I feel he's a different quarterback. And because I feel he's a different quarterback, I have a hard time saying that the Steelers lose the easy games. And if you don't lose the easy games, you have such a significant lead on the rest of them right now that, I mean, the Ravens have to win 4 more games than you for the rest of the season. 4 more. And they can't lose any more of them. I have a hard time thinking the Steelers are going to lose 5 more games overall, let alone 4 more than what the Ravens are going to lose. I just don't. Mm-hmm. And I don't give Cincinnati any credit. And Cleveland's done, dude. Cleveland's done. Jalen Ramsey told the Browns yesterday, put Shedeur in. And eventually they're going to listen to him. You know, it's going to happen.
Get the shit back up in. Let's go.
Get the shit back up in. That's what he told him. And it's going to happen. I just don't think, I think it's too insurmountable right now for the Steelers to feel the pressure. Now, that being said, the AFC North should not be their crowning jewel this season. It should not. We have surpassed the AFC North. At this point, it's, can you actually walk into the playoffs as the 1 seed? Because right now, Danny Dimes and the Indianapolis Colts are the only thing holding you back from that. And that is ridiculous to say, but I think it's possible. I think it's possible.
Yeah, I think it's possible. Don't blame the quarterbacks. You know, it's not Danny Dimes' fault. The Giants are just a piss poor organization.
I agree. It's the Justin Fields scenario. Everybody's tweeting at me left and right going, yo, no, remember when you were saying Justin Fields is a superstar? I don't think Justin Fields is nearly as bad in Pittsburgh. Do I think he's as good as Aaron Rodgers? No chance. I was wrong there. I was real wrong there. However, I don't think that the New York Jets are this guy, this makes or break it. No, the New York Jets are a third-class organization. They've surpassed second. They've gone to third-class organization. That's where they're at. It's just, and that changes things. And I think because of that, I don't know, man. Danny Dimes could do it, but maybe the Steelers can too. We'll see what happens. It's early. You're right. And you are the presence that calms me most times. So, you know, we're going to hold it there and we're going to see what happens. All right, guys, that's everything on our agenda. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of it, we're going to start answering all your questions. So toss them in the chat. And with that said, we'll be right back. What's up, AST Nation? I've teamed up with DraftKings. The next great touchdown is coming. You can bet on it. And the best way to do so is through DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers who bet $5 get $300 in bonus bets plus 3 months of NBA League Pass if your bet wins. That means new customers turn $5 into $300 if your bet wins in bonus bets. The crown is yours. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen. Then use your bonus bets to stay in on the action and bet DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. And don't worry, if sports betting is not yet available in your state, you're fine. You can still join in on all of the fun with DraftKings daily fantasy sports and have the shot to win cash prizes. New customers who bet $5 get $300 in bonus bets and 3 months of NBA League Pass if your bet wins. Sign up using my promo code ALLSteelers and get in on the action. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Shout out to good old DraftKings Sportsbook. With that said, guys, shout out to our members. Shout out to our super chatters. Can't thank you guys enough. We got some new members to welcome to the group. Duffy Buckets. Shout out my guy and Carson A. Make sure you guys are calling into the call-in show. And I want to give this is ridiculous, okay? A ridiculously big shout out to Duffy Buckets. I don't even know how to react to this. This is nuts. Hey, Noah, after watching your video this morning, you revealed, yeah, right?
What?
Duffy Buckets, brother. You got to email me because I got to send you something for this. I definitely got to send you something for this. Hey, Noah, after watching your video this morning, you revealed we have the same birthday. Shout out my guy. If we make the AFC Championship, I'll travel to 5 or so hours from extreme northwestern Ontario, just south of Detroit, Michigan, to party with you and celebrate my 33rd by watching the game in the Berg. Shout out Duffy Buckets. Okay, for this, I might have to say yes. Now, here's the thing. Here's the complicated issue here. We're going to have to party the night before or Friday night because I'm in the box. I'm in the press box during the game. I got to cover the actual game. So I can't party during the game. Unfortunately, my birthday will be spent working. But if you come Friday or Saturday, I will. I mean, after this one, dude, we will party. We will party. I'll show you all around the Berg, brother. I will show you all around the Berg. From good old Ontario, dude. That's awesome, man. First off, great birthday. Shout out my guy. Second off, you already know. I got exactly where we're going. We'll talk it out. We'll talk it out. If it happens, yeah. That'd be the best way to spend my birthday, to be honest, with good old Duffy Buckets. I can't think of a better way. Shout out my guy, dude. Appreciate you. Can't thank you. I feel like I need to spend all day on that question, but I don't know what else to say outside of thank you. So shout out my guy, man. Shout out my guy. Smoothest Buddhist. I will. Oh, also serious on the email. Shoot me an email. I gotta send you something for that comment, brother. Shout and for the birthday. I gotta get. You're getting two things. You're getting two things, my guy. Shout out. Smoothest Buddhist. I will give the Steelers this one thing. For a team that everyone says makes no adjustments, they sure have made some pretty damn good adjustments this year. Just doing that has restored my faith in this coaching staff. I will say, if you can restore the faith of Smoothest Buddhist, you can restore the faith of any fan ever. Because Smoothest, you were ready to jump ship. You were ready to go. Not really, but you were the only one holding us down to reality of this is purgatory and we live in it, and this is what this is. I do think that the Steelers coaching staff made some very good adjustments yesterday, offensively especially. I think they made them well in game 1, too. I'll repeat it. I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing from Arthur Smith right now. The last 2 weeks. Now, this is a small sample size, but the last 2 weeks, I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing from Arthur Smith.
Man, I'm hesitant. I don't think I share the same overwhelming excitement about Arthur Smith and his game plan. I need to honestly go back through the Cleveland Browns game a little bit more. But to me, I feel like I continue to chalk it up, even in this conversation, to more of the Aaron Rodgers leading the team, taking over the offense while they're on the field. The fact that the players that are unlikely and being game planned by Arthur Smith, to give him more credit, but players like a Darnell Washington actually showing up on the field once his number is called. I'm less impressed with what Arthur Smith is doing than I am with how the offense is executing it, because I do believe at the baseline of it, it's a pretty simple offense that they're running. And I could just be missing stuff, right? Again, I need to go back through and rewatch the Cleveland Browns game, but I will not fully give Arthur Smith as much credit as you quite yet. But I do think Smoothest Buddhist's comment is accurate, because they found a way to make some adjustments, which is just a criticism that has been, they could not avoid in years past because they were so guilty of it. But on defense and on offense, they are making slight adjustments and larger ones that are leading to a 4-1 record right now. So, hard to knock it.
I look at Smoothest, Jacob, same ship. And as good old ND Joe points out, jump ship, Smoothest is in the Navy. Am I the only one that got that? So shout out my guy. Shout out my guy. I think there's still more adjustments to be made. I do certainly agree with that. I'm optimistic about what I've seen. You know what I mean? We've come a long way from Arthur Smith and Randy Fichtner and Big Ben drawing up plays in the dirt as the only adjustments the Steelers have made. And I think that is, that's a significant improvement in itself alone. Smoothest, Arthur Smith was low key in his bag yesterday. Me and Smoothest, dude, same wavelength. Same wavelength. That's okay. We love it. Ricky Hodgins, you think there's a chance DK and AJ Brown reunite? I look at
No.
realistically, I don't. Yeah, it's not even the Steelers side of it. I just think that AJ Brown and the Eagles are not gonna. He's not gonna be traded from Philly. They take on like a $90 million dead hit if he's traded. I just don't. I don't know. I just can't see it happening. I just can't.
I can't either. I'd love for it to happen, and I'd love to also participate in fueling the rumor mill, if I'm being completely transparent. But I just cannot see an actual scenario where the Eagles part with him. I would love to see. I mean, talk about contenders and the Steelers being contenders with this like group of misfits and replacements as the offense around Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf. You put Super Bowl winning AJ Brown, Pro Bowler AJ Brown opposite DK Metcalf.
Sure.
That there's your contender right there.
I mean, that's could you imagine Aaron Rodgers waking up one morning and going, "Oh man, today I get to throw to DK Metcalf and AJ Brown." That sounds good. Glad that I waited 3 months to sign. Glad that. And then meanwhile, Justin Fields is sitting around in New York going, "Fuck, what happened? How'd I get here? Well, how'd I get here?" Mike Lang. I feel like the secondary was put together specifically to play against the Bengals. Caleb Johnson took advantage of his opportunities. PQ looks good. Would you guys still trade for a number 2 wide receiver? I talked to Mike Tomlin talked to a group of us, okay? One day at training camp, just BSing on the sideline, just joking around. And he said straight up, he said, Bengals ain't got nothing on the secondary. And I said, oh, there it is. There it is. It was designed specifically for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Specifically, they said that is the best wide receiver core in football because it's hard to deny it. And we will be able to beat them twice a season. And I'm excited to see. Now, with Joe Burrow, I think it's different, but I'm excited to see what you got. And honestly, the Bengals play 85% of the time without Joe Burrow anyways, so it doesn't really matter. It's essentially the same thing. Caleb Johnson took advantage of his opportunities for sure. What's thoughts on the Bengals and Caleb here?
Listen, Caleb, I am impressed with the resiliency that he is showing and just sort of working his way back. I think that's an incredible compliment for a rookie to face a setback like he did and getting benched and losing, basically his entire ranking within the depth chart. But now he's slowly worked his way back in these last few weeks and he looks decent enough. I don't think he deserves to be taking more and more snaps from Kenneth Gainwell or Jalen Warren, the way those two running backs are also playing, but credit to him for working his way back. Want to also shout out Patrick Queen has been, my team MVP for the last couple of weeks. And the fact that he just continues to play 98, 99, 100% of snaps. He's maintaining all the communication. He's relentless. That one hit where that friendly fire with Peyton Wilson, I thought that guy's concussed for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Just play the next play. And I was like, that guy's insane. He is absolutely insane. Love the way he's playing this year. The Bengals, to the last part, this secondary is 100% built to dismantle the Bengals wide receivers, to play them in press coverage, and then to make their lives so difficult and frustrating that Joe Burrow or Joe Flacco in this situation has no one to go to. So I think that's going to be tested very thoroughly on Thursday, but the Steelers are built for this test.
I agree. On the PQ thing, PQ is a lunatic right now. And it's so much fun. PQ is the best inside linebacker the Steelers have had since Ryan Shazier, without question, the way he's playing right now. He is such a difference maker to that defense that is being overlooked, that it is crazy. He is faster than anybody on the defense who isn't faster than him just genetically. His closing speed is faster than anybody on the defense, and that means everybody. He's hitting people harder than I've ever seen him hit somebody. He is such he's inside linebackers, the most fun position to watch in football if they're good, because they do everything. And PQ right now is so enjoyable to watch. All the PQ haters, you have an opportunity to say, you know what, PQ is awesome, because you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on how much fun this is if you don't do that, because it is a blast. Would you guys still trade for a wide receiver 2? I think if the wide receiver 2 is there and the trade makes sense, yeah, I don't think Darnell Washington catching 6 passes for 50 some yards is the reason that I'm saying, we're good. We're we're okay. I think if the trade's there, sure. I don't think I'm giving up a second round pick, but I think if the trade's there, I'm feeling good about it.
I mean, they still need more talent in the room. Like, I don't think that's changed. The thing that also has not changed at all is the Steelers keep finding these ways to elevate other pass catching options for Aaron Rodgers. So it just further reinforces this idea that I believe the Steelers management has, that they don't need to get a wide receiver too. So I think Darnell Washington, yes, this performance was excellent. Did it signal to me that they have solved their passing game issues? No, not at all. Is it going to be something that this team can point to and say, well, we've made something out of nothing here? We didn't have Calvin Austin. We were able to continue to move the ball down the field, and the passing game looked improved from, week 4. So I think the Steelers are still not inclined to make that move, but I cannot sit here with a right mind and say that the talent, the depth in this wide receiving room is enough right now. It's simply not. I don't think anything's going to change though in the meantime.
We will see. There's an Adam Schefter report that we will talk about here in a minute. But we might as well just keep riding the wave here because Jacob's favorite receiver. Hey, Jacob. See that catch? Was your reaction the same as mine and everybody else in the press boxes when he caught that pass? And we went, oh, Roman.
Hey.
Whoa. What was that? I forgot you were even here. What are you doing? Shout out to Roman Wilson, dude. 7 yards.
Shout out.
7 yards.
It was a great catch.
It was.
Great catch. Give him his credit.
Catches as Pat Fryermuth yesterday, as Jonnu Smith yesterday. Rome was at more catches than Scotty Miller yesterday. Rome was out there doing his thing, brother.
Big day.
Doing his thing. Shout out my guy. Only one way to skin. Only one way to skin a cat. We are sweeping the North, everyone. No questions. What's your 1 in 10 chance here that the Pittsburgh Steelers sweep the North? I know it's higher than a 4, so that's why I asked it.
Yeah, it can't be a 4. I think it's a 6, and that feels low. That feels as low as I could go right now. I feel like 7 or 8. They have a great odd rate. They have great chances. They have great odds to sweep the North. Again, what the Cincinnati Bengals, what are they presenting as a challenge or as a serious threat other than the fact that it is a trap game on short rest? That's not really indicative of the Bengals being a good team. It's just indicative that the Steelers are being put in a very difficult scenario coming into this week 7 matchup. The Ravens are the worst they've looked under John Harbaugh in years. The Cleveland Browns are still the Cleveland Browns. So yeah, I just think they're going to run the table. And so let's go 7. I talked my way out of a 6 to a 7. What do you say?
I like it. No, I think 7's a good number. I'm going to go 9. I'm going to go 9.
Holy Lord.
But we all know I'm, of the two of us, the dramatic one. And I feel that needs to be represented here because I'm going to go 9. I don't think Lamar Jackson fixes the Ravens. I don't. And that could be proven wrong. It could, but I don't think he fixes the Ravens. I also think that they lost 2 more starters yesterday, potentially their left tackle and Ronnie Stanley, and their starting outside linebacker, which they just traded their other starting outside linebacker. I just don't know who's left in Baltimore. It's a bad time to be a Baltimore Raven. It was a fun run. We'll see if it changes. I'm going to 9. I heard that Missy Matthews, shout out to Missy, she's awesome. Said on the Mike Tomlin broadcast right after it or whatever that the Browns be the Browns and quoted Juju really? Smith-Schuster. So shout out to her. That was awesome. That was super, super awesome. All right, keeping it trucking here. ND Joe, this is a good one. Noah, you said this morning turf is the most boring subject to talk about, but it was one of the most impactful parts of this game. We've had 3 weeks to swap it out. I've seen high schoolers with better grass turf. No excuses for the injuries the turf left in its wake. This shouldn't have been as much of a factor as it was. I 100,000% agree. I had so many people being like, yeah, well, there's nothing. They're going to change it after the game. Pitt hasn't played there in a week. The Steelers haven't played there in 3 weeks. Change it out, man. Like, change it out. It looked atrocious. When you showed up, it looked atrocious. It was a half dirt field. There was no need for that. There's no need to do that. There's no need to take the risk. It takes an hour to do it. Like, that's the craziest part about it, is this is not a week-long process. They did it immediately after the game ended. Why not just do it Friday morning when you show up and realize, that don't look that good? You know what I mean? It's not like everybody walked in Sunday morning and went, dang it, the turf, the field looks real bad, guys. No, you knew about this. I would have changed it out. I do have complaints about the grass. I thought it was inexcusable for there are a lot of times where Pitt plays the day before the Steelers, and that should never happen. Pitt, go get your own field. And that's one of them where you could say, all right, there's nothing you could do there. But 3 weeks to change it out, there's something you could do there.
I don't even there's no reason that a billion-dollar franchise can give
$36 billion.
Yeah. Do you know how many zeros are in 36 billion? That, like, you're telling me you couldn't just have some people ready to, resod on Saturday morning, or how $36 billion to me, you could put a shield around the earth for that type of money. So you're telling me you couldn't get
Probably
extra groundskeepers on the site on Saturday? Like, that is ridiculous to me. These are and they're lucky that Chris Boswell had this sort of reactionary reflexes to not continue that kick, because if he would have torn everything from the waist down, and it would have been directly the Steelers' fault for that happening. I just don't these are, again, this is not, your neighborhood high school team and they don't have any funding to improve the field. This is a $36 billion franchise. There should never be a bad patch of grass on that field. That I find that to be just appalling,
especially for, again, a stadium that is not known for that. What if that's TJ Watt? What if that's Chris Boswell? If that's Chris Boswell and his ankle was close. It was so close.
Looks like a pitching wedge went through that grass.
Yeah, dude. Somebody should have. All you gotta hope is that somebody has a stern talking to after that about how that is inexcusable and should never happen again. Ever. Shout out to Andy Joe. Way to bring it to our attention here. Nicholas Branch for Defensive Player of the Year. Screw Boo Boo Smith Schuster. All I did was wake up to a video clip of Brian Branch slapping Juju. And I got to say, Juju was in mid-game form because the flop was dramatic. You're not getting a flag. It's after the game's over. Okay. But he went down, and I love Juju. I thought Juju was a great guy when he was here. He was a great dude for the city. Big Juju fan. The flop was dramatic. He took 3 steps back. And then went down. It was so much going on there. Shout out to Juju, man. Shout out to Juju.
Yeah, dude, Brian Branch, man. What are you doing? Fucking
I agree.
Chill.
He said it was from a play earlier in the game. Again, I didn't watch the game, so
I didn't either. So yeah, maybe it was, but that's probably not the best way to have handled whatever it was earlier in the game.
Handle it there. Don't slap him after the game. You're just gonna get fined. Juice, our record Thursday away is 2-6, but Aaron is 13-6. Thoughts? I think it works in the Steelers' favor because Aaron is historically good on Thursday nights on the road, and the Steelers are historically good at the Jungle. And I think that works. I can never call it Paycor Stadium. It just doesn't naturally come out of my mouth.
That's what's called.
Paycor Stadium. It's so dumb. But Acrisure Stadium is not much better. That being said, I think it works in the Steelers. I think for a game that should not work in the Steelers' favor, this is not Jameis Winston in the Snow Bowl with Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith and Denzel Ward and Jerry Jeudy and the return of Nick Chubb. It's not that. It's Joe Flacco in Cincinnati. Trey Hendrickson might not play. I think this is a dangerous game for the Steelers. I think it's significantly less dangerous than it could be. trying to be realistic.
Yes, I think I understand. Yes, realistically, this is not a game that the Steelers should lose. I
Yes.
totally agree with you on that, and I think that everything about how they're playing, the circumstances and situation with the Bengals coming into this like that, absolutely, all that math makes sense. All sounds logical and reasonable. It's just, that's when these crazy out of nowhere games happen, right? You think you have a complete grasp and understanding of how things are going. You're following, the model as it's been set up already, and then boom, it just veers in another direction, and you're like, what happened? So I think that's just why I'm like approaching it that, because I'm a pessimistic person, but that's why I'm approaching it with this sort of like more cautious approach where I'm like, yeah, this should be a very easy game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. What if it's not,
Yeah, no. I agree. I think that of the two like AFC North, anything could happen games. This is the one. This is the one I pointed to. This is since the beginning of last week. Like this is the one that anything really could happen. That being said, I'm still, if on Wednesday we'll make our predictions and the Steelers will win the game in my eyes. But of the two, this is my you never know. You never know. Thomas. Mm-hmm. Nice to see KJ getting some runs. What are the chances the Steelers get AJ Brown? I liked KJ getting his runs. My thought, because I didn't address it in the last one, my thought on Caleb Johnson is the moment that he stops double fisting that ball, the moment that he puts that down and says, all right, we can run hand this, we'll be fine. I'm not going to fumble again, is the moment that I think he actually has a shot at a real explosive, huge run. Because the second he touches that football, dude, I will not fumble. It will not happen. I promise. And, you could still see the nerves there. I think it changes. My chances on AJ Brown are like a 2. To quote Jacob, 4. And I think that's high. I think that's high. I just don't think, I think there are other realistic options out there. I'm not positive it's good old AJ Brown. I think there are options, and we're going to get to that here in a minute, but I think there are options. Egyptian Cobb salad. All hail Mount Darnell. It was awesome. That was awesome. I will say this, shout out to, and you knew this, shout out to fading me in gambling. It proves to continue to be the best thing that you could possibly do if you want to make money. This is not gambling advice. Before the game, I sat down with Alan Saunders and we were going through our bets, and I was like, oh, dude, Pat over 15.5 receiving yards, Darnell over 11.5 receiving yards. And we were both like, Pat, dude, I'm feeling real good about Pat on that one. Darnell, I don't know, iffy. And then that first play happened, and I went, I hate me. I hate me so much. I blame myself for this, and I hate me. So shout out to Mount Darnell, man. That was fun to watch. Egyptian Cobb salad, once again. $50 says we break the sack record against the Bengals. What is the single game sack record in the NFL?
Is it like 10? Did we talk about this last? Why am I having deja vu right now?
We might. It's so by a team. No. By a team. Because individually it's 7. That's crazy. 14.
Derek Thomas had 7.
Derek Thomas 7. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous, dude. Derek Thomas is a menace. 14. The Philadelphia Eagles. Against the New York Giants on October 26, 1952. What are we even doing? And also,
half the NFL is in Korea at that point. That does not count. That's not real.
That's what I'm saying. But 14. It's 14. I would say put that $50 down, but you never know. 6 against a bunch of nobodies on the offensive line is always a possibility. Always a possibility. All right, keeping it trucking here. Mark Russ, 7 draft picks before round 5. Rodgers, just stay, man. I don't know where we're going here. To move up. Yeah, You said this before that you don't feel that the more the season goes, you feel Rodgers isn't going to go or is going to go. I think if the Steelers just missed the Super Bowl, Rodgers has a chance of coming back. But I'm going to be honest with you. The Steelers win a Super Bowl, Rodgers is done. It's over. But nobody cares at that point. Who cares? You just won a Super Bowl. What are you trying to do? Like, win a Super Bowl? Oh, you just did that. You know what I mean? Like, you just was it fun? Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. I think I'm jumping on board with you, to be honest, that I think Aaron is my faith in Aaron returning is fading. But just because I don't know if the Steelers are going to be as good as it's a long season ahead, but they look good right now. And it feels like this is an all or nothing situation. And
yeah,
you kind of see what happens.
Well, and I think the other thing too here is it seems like Aaron Rodgers, if the way the season is going now, regardless of how the team actually ends the season, postseason, whatever, it feels like Aaron Rodgers is really going to be going out on his terms, which seems to be a very important part of how he leaves the NFL. And it feels like even if they don't win the Super Bowl, even if they don't win the AFC Championship, but like this team clearly goes through Aaron Rodgers. He had the chance to sort of rekindle that magic that he had in those final years in Green Bay. I feel like that is like the last thing between Aaron Rodgers and retirement. It's not winning again. He's already won that. He's already climbed all these rankings. He's already done X, Y, and Z to make himself a Hall of Fame quarterback. I think going out on his terms, which the Steelers are, they're basically saying, this offense is yours, my man. Just like check in with Arthur on Tuesdays, and then you're good to go. We'll see you on Sunday or Thursday. And then, so all of that to me continues to paint this picture that I think he's gone after this season, and it's not necessarily about how far they get in the postseason.
I very much so agree. Smootus. Roman Wilson is the best Steelers receiver since AB, but y'all not ready for the conversation yet. Shout out my guy, Roman, dude. Hope he had a good one. Shout out to Lucy, too. A moment of silence for Minkah Fitzpatrick and Justin Fields. Wow. I don't know what Minkah did, but they are looking bad. They are looking bad. Justin Fields, man, -10 yards yesterday. -10 passing yards. Net. Shout out my guy. Shout out my guy. Duffy Buckets. By the way, what's y'all email? You told me to email. If you go into the membership tab on our YouTube page, there'll be an email there that you could hit. I don't want to give it out because it's the same email that members get to leave your question for me to call. But if you go to that tab, let me know. If you can't find it on tomorrow's show, let me know. We'll figure something out, but it should be there for sure. Michelle, college QB play was bad this weekend. All my favorites lost. Which QB do you two feel may fit the Steelers the best if they come out? I'm starting to get real close to 0, to be honest with you, dude. I'm starting to get real close to none. John Mateer gave me, it sucks because maybe it was the Braden Fajoko comment that just stuck in my head, but he did. John Mateer gave me strong John Rice Plumlee vibes over the weekend. Just a lot of running, not a lot of passing. It's not a good time. It's not a good time to be a college quarterback. I don't know.
Fernando Mendoza is the only one that I think has shown me something, but that's not because it's all been a bed of roses for him. You know what I mean? Like, I just think amongst this sea of incredibly highly touted quarterbacks, the one who seems like he could probably take the next step at the NFL level right now is Fernando Mendoza. But that's like, I think Lenore Sellers might even, like, he could probably,
dude, he's not even going to come back. I was going to say he's not going to come. Nobody's going to come out. It's going to be, I saw a draft where Jaden, the dude from USC that I butchered his last name yesterday, and I don't want to do it to him twice, was the second quarterback taken at 15 to the Steelers by CBS Sports. And like, it's bad time, man. It's bad time. Drew Aller's about to be sixth. Drew Aller and Will Howard, dude, 6th round picks competing for the starting job. I could see it happening. I could see it.
If someone actually thinks Drew Aller's an NFL quarterback,
Pittsburgh Steelers in the 6th round.
Pity the fool. Pity the fool.
6th round of the NFL draft. Heath, member for 8 months. Shout out my guy. I reached on the other day about the Steelers being no fun anymore. They were fun on Sunday. Shout out my guy, dude. It's all fun because the Steelers were fun on Sunday. They were, for a game that started as slow and boring as it could have after their opening drive, it turned into a great time, an absolutely electric game by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So shout out to them, man. Shout out to them. Asado Burrito, Noah, any update on Watt and Porter? TV announcers mentioned Watt may have a leg injury and Porter laid down a lot. Don't know anything about TJ. I was not informed about a TJ injury. They never made an announcement in the press box. I haven't been told anything by sources. I'm not totally sure on that one. Joey Porter was being tested for a concussion, came back in. He should be good. If you get cleared there, you should be all right. Wasn't reported in the injury report in the injury report afterwards by Mike Tomlin. So should mean he's okay, but he definitely looked a little like banged up. But things seem to be pretty all right. Carlos, I could get used to the O-line playing like it did, which allowed A-Rod a bit more time to spread the ball. However, still think we should get a wide receiver with more losses yesterday. Who do you think we can get? Which correlates perfectly with Mikey Brown. Adam Schefter reported the Steelers are actively pursuing a wide receiver too. Who are your top 3 wants and top 3 realistic choices? Who, my friend, are your top 3 realistic choices if Adam Schefter says the Steelers are going after a wide receiver, which I but almost don't a little bit believe.
One, I don't believe it. 2, that's much more what's the word? That is much more specific of language from Adam Schefter than his latest update, which was that the Steelers were one of many teams that were possibly thinking about having a conversation about maybe getting a wide receiver or something along those lines. It was the dodgiest, most unspecific and vague update ever. So I'm glad that he's kind of putting some more feelers out here. I don't think the Steelers are actually actively pursuing, but Rashid Shaheed is number 1. And I think that he remains the number 1 target. And to be quite honest, Noah, like, I don't even think it's like, I don't have a top 3 of realistic and wants. I just have, there's about 1 player left who fits the bill. And I think it's Rashid Shaheed. And you either get him or you just play it out with what you got.
I'm going to stick with my guns, dude. And I'm going to say Jalen Waddle. I'm going to stick with Jalen Waddle.
That'd be great. That'd be fantastic.
I just think what are you waiting for if you're Miami, dude? Are you sitting around going, I don't know, man, our $55 million a year contract for Tua, we'll figure it out. No, you're screwed. And you're going to sell the house next year, and whoever the coach coming in is going to hate everybody anyways, and everybody's going to be gone. Jalen Waddle, man. Jalen Waddle.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Tua didn't have enough bread. I think that was probably the problem yesterday, right?
Yeah. That's what happens, actually.
Got to have more carbs.
That's what it is, dude. It's the pasta. It's the pasta. It's the pasta. Lindsay, at what point do we say that A-Rod and Muth just don't have any connection? I don't think that's the case, because I think Jonnu also had 1 reception, and just right now I just look at it as the game plans are very personnel specific, and Pat was out there a lot, but he was blocking a lot. And I think that's, what he was being used for. So I think that time's going to come. And when it does, we'll have the conversation of, oh, there it is. But I think for right now, it is just personnel specific. It leans a certain way every time. That's my thoughts on Muth.
Yeah. I mean, just, for corrections, Jonnu Smith did have 3 receptions yesterday. So it was clearly a much more favorable day for Jonnu Smith. But no, I say that like facetiously because it's not the game plans do change a lot, and how the target distribution is shared certainly changes week to week. But I think I'm a little bit more willing to say that, like, it might not be that they have a bad connection. I just think that I think Aaron Rodgers is finding way more comfortability in Jonnu Smith in those situations, in Darnell Washington in those situations where he's going to a tight end. And it might not be necessarily about the connections or the strength of the connection between Freiermuth and Rodgers, but just that 2 other ones are just exceeding it.
Yes, that's almost exactly it. Like, and there will be a game where Pat's going to have 6 receptions because defenses have stopped paying attention to him, and everybody's going to be like, oh my gosh, there it is, Pat. You know what I mean? And it'll come. Egyptian Cobb salad. Ramsey should have I don't know what that
CPS called on him.
Oh, hitting baby Gabriel like that. I said this before teams lock on Metcalf, ignore all our number twos. Dude, the Jalen Ramsey, if you look at a specific angle of the Jalen Ramsey hit, it's disgusting. Like, dude, Dylan doesn't even see it coming, and it is so fast and vicious. And there were 3 hits. It was the PQ hit on Peyton Wilson. It was the Deshaun Elliott hit on Joey Porter and whoever the wide receiver was, where both of those guys should have died because Deshaun came in. And it was the Jalen Ramsey sack on Gabriel for the second time because that thing was vicious. Vicious. Cody Silva, Keyshawn Williams looked explosive, dude. Keyshawn was awesome. Awesome. Shout out to Keyshawn. What a day. Jermaine White, someone needs to explain the calls on Peppers. This is a good one because I think it goes with Keyshawn. It was hilarious because in the locker room afterwards, Jabril Peppers was talking to me and Brooke Pryor and Alan Saunders and just like, he's like, that was nonsense, dude. Like, I'm running down the field. He's like, you know, the rules are the rules, but that's ridiculous. And he's just, we were all cracking up. We weren't actually interviewing him. We were just talking. Like, we were just like, dude, what the hell happened there? And he's like, I don't know, man. This sucked. And I was like, all right, cool. I will say this though. It was soft call, you know, if you go by the rule book, whatever, soft call. Chuck, our Juan Thornhill and Peppers both said to me and a couple other guys, again, just talking, that everybody wanted to block harder than ever for Keyshawn because they know how good he is and they want to see him do some crazy things. So that is definitely exciting.
Yeah, I guess I get the intention of like trying to reduce like those like blocks in the back and, you know, those blindside blocks, but like,
dude, he ran by this.
He did, yeah, and that's the announcers. I think it was JJ Watt said on the TV broadcast, like that's a way that they teach like to block in those situations in order to avoid the penalties. So like he did exactly what he was supposed to, and it completely negated this incredible play from Keyshawn Williams, who's, you know, had a breakout moment taken away from him. But
a crazy
whatever.
Moment. But whatever, dude. Keyshawn's still a stud. And we'll finish it off with Enigma After Dark. Noah and Jacob, you guys gave us your greatest movie list. So what about movie franchises? And since it's October, best/favorite horror movie. Figured we'd end it with a bang here. My favorite horror movie of all time. Oh, that's so tough, dude. That's so tough. I loved the Insidious movies. I don't think that's my favorite of all time, but I did love the Insidious movies. I feel like you got to go. You give me inspiration because I don't, you know what I mean? My list is, my brain goes off. It's been like 10 years since I've watched a horror movie that my wife wasn't halfway through.
My best horror movie ever, in my opinion, is Halloween, the original one from 78, the John Carpenter one. That invented tension in movies, and that was not invented, but that was like the first mainstream one that like really was able to make audiences feel afraid. You know, there's no kills in that movie for like 45 minutes, but you were just dying in tension waiting for it to happen. So it's a fantastic one. Great franchise too. A lot of the movies subsequently are awful, but man, it's really fun to watch some of these horror movies like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, all that stuff too. They're great ones. You know what, like my favorite movie franchise is, and it's not the Marvel MCU, though I am quite a fan of the comics and stuff. It's Jurassic Park, man.
Oh, great franchise. They have never made a bad Jurassic Park. The last one was but still great. That's a good one for sure.
Those first three were killer.
Killer. They were awesome. I'm gonna toss Jaws on there too, because the Jaws I think is overlooked as like a phenomenal franchise, phenomenal movie franchise. You want to know the worst movie franchise ever?
Yeah, I do.
The Jasons, dude. The Nightmare on Elm Street ones are so good, but Jason, by the time you get to Jason X, where they're in space, you're like, we've gone too far. We have gone way too far. This is atrocious. This is not even fun anymore. It's just like at one point he goes into like a simulation and kills people in a simulation in a campsite, and I'm like, these aren't even real humans. You're just, what are we doing? Like, how are you?
And we get so far away from, at that point with the Jason stuff, like, here, stop me at any time, because, like, again, I could talk forever about this stuff, but like,
all right, I don't have anything going on.
The original killer is not Jason Voorhees; it's his mom, and I don't understand. Like, so the entire rest of these series is Jason's. It's like, we don't watch Halloween, then all of a sudden it's just, well, they actually do this in a couple of those. It's just a different person as the killer.
Yeah, like, it's true. And he dies like 8 times, and just
he dies 8 times. Yeah.
Shout out. My favorite franchise movie of all time, though, hands down without question, is I think it's Harry Potter. Number 2 might be Fast and Furious. Those two are just so good.
We're family.
We're family. We're family. Yeah. Only movie I like really cried in. I was like, oh my God, dude. Don't drive away. Don't do it. Don't do it. Shout out. What's your favorite franchise ever? I don't think you gave it. You got to have an answer.
No, I did. It's Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah. True. All right, cool. Shout out. Way to end that one on a banger. On a good note.
Great question.
All right. With that said, we're heading out of here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode. Oh, Smooth Boot is coming in here late. Jurassic Park is goated, but the last few suck cheeks. Have either of you read the books? Great reads. I actually have not read the books. I didn't even know that Jurassic Park had books.
Yeah, Michael Crichton wrote the books. They're actually really good. I read because Michael Crichton is also the guy who wrote ER, which is like a crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's absolutely nuts. The latest ones have been Cheeks. I agree with Smooth Buddhist on that, but I think Chris Pratt's Cheeks, so that's probably why.
I can't say anything because
end it on that, brother. And then
I don't watch television enough to be like, yeah, but he's great in this one. He's good in Guardians of the Galaxy. Big fan in Guardians of the Galaxy. Always. All right, guys. With that said, we're heading out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, find all our stuff at si.com/NFL/Steelers. With that said, we will be back tomorrow. Enjoy another Victory Monday.